In each of their epic stories, we can see the hand of God at work, shaping them, leading them, making them into the men He always planned for them to become. That always planned for them to become is for you too, and it's one of the main features we'll be exploring together. How did God mold and mobilize these men? What were the obstacles they faced? What held them back? How did God get them uncoiled? And what was their part? As we spend time listening to their lives, we will come face to face with the gritty truth that can release and sustain the passion of our faith too. When added together, they're not just 10 amazing stories, but one big story. Yours. Here's the promise of how God makes men, and it's a huge one. If you will absorb and embrace the timeless principles offered by these 10 men, you can get past the shallow cultural Christianity that wants to gut your manhood and get to, or back to, a more biblical Christianity. If you will let these 10 men mentor you, then, like them, you will become the man God created you to be. You will release the power of God in every direction and detail of your life. You will know how to sustain the passion of your faith. And you will be well on the way to writing your own epic story. Why? Because God is way too good to let our lives merely turn out like we planned. You always knew that one day you would be called upon to take your place on the battlefront, right? This is that call. Together, we can turn this around. This is a battle we can win. We cannot, we must not, and by God's grace, we will not fail. If this is what you want, turn the page. I have some guys I want you to meet. 1. Abraham, the principle of believing God anyway. How God makes a man's faith stronger. James and Brandy both went into their marriage fully intending to build their life together on the rock of Christ. James, who attends the Bible study I teach, told me, and so it went, at first. After 5 carefree years without kids, they started a family with 2 wonderful children, anticipating that life would only get happier. But in reality, the demands of work and the stress of raising children began to take a toll on their marriage. They lost that important feeling of being close to your soulmate. That made it easier to dwell on each other's faults, and so they slowly drifted apart. At the 14-year mark, weakened by self-pity over his unhappiness at home, James fell into the arms of another woman. When confronted by friends over his adultery, he said, "I felt like I was being torn in two." With the help of their church community, James and Brandy reconciled and started over. But this transgression, along with the unresolved issues each had brought into their marriage, kept eating away at them. For his part, James was quick to anger and wore his feelings on his sleeve. Brandy, in contrast, buried her feelings because she thought that was the Christian thing to do. When the children hit their teens, James and Brandy decided to get counseling to help them become better parents. But those conversations opened a can of worms. His affair came back to center stage. Their arguments became more and more frequent. Brandy, particularly, seemed annoyed at every little thing James did. One day James said to her, "Brandy, if these things bother you so much, then why don't you ask me to leave?" So she did. After a few days of living alone, James realized what a horrible mistake he had made. His repeated pleas for reconciliation fell on deaf ears. Brandy was boiling with a volcanic anger, and she wanted nothing to do with him. In the months that followed, he found emails that revealed his wife was getting emotionally attached to an old flame. That attachment eventually led to an affair. James still believed God wanted them to reconcile and stay married. But after everything that had gone on, he was thinking, "You've got to be kidding me. How could that possibly happen now?" Brandy clearly despised him, and she had opened her heart to the other man. There appeared to be no way his marriage